Hello, 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 Sacagawea. Welcome to the second part of our Making Mean lesson on the paper crane. Today we're going to discuss our I wonder statements from the first video, and also we're going to talk about the central message. The story's message, what the author wants us to get from the story. So, the paper crane. Go ahead and take a moment and summarize what you remember from the story. You can say it out loud to me, or you can say it to a person next to you, or to a stuffy, or to your cat, or whoever is with you. Just go ahead and summarize the story of the paper crane. Okay, now you can, if you wrote them down, break out your I wonder statements. I wrote down mine. And we can use mine and we can think about, were they answered from the story? So here are my I wonder statements from the different times I stopped in the story. My first I wonder statement was, I wonder why the restaurant owner serves the stranger like a king. Sorry, I tried to read it backward. I wonder why the restaurant owner serves the stranger like a king. My second I wonder statement was, I wonder if the stranger will come back. My next one was, I wonder if the stranger is going to give them another gift when he came back the second time. And my last I wonder was at the end, just looking at that picture. I wonder why the boy's playing music. So now I'm going to read the paper crane one more time. This time I will not stop, and we're just going to read it. All right, here's The Paper Crane by Molly Bang. A man once owned a restaurant on a busy road. The man loved to cook good food, and he loved to serve it. He worked from morning until night, and he was happy. But a new highway was built close by. Travelers drove straight from one place to another and no longer stopped at the restaurant. Many days went by when no guests came at all. The man became very poor and had nothing to do but to dust and polish his empty plates and tables. One evening, a stranger came to the restaurant. His clothes were old and worn, but he had an unusual, gentle manner. Though he said he had no money to pay for food, the owner invited him to sit down. He cooked the best meal he could make and served him like a king. When the stranger had finished, he had said to his host, I cannot pay you with money, but I would like to thank you in my own way. He picked up a napkin from the table and folded it into the shape of a crane. You only have to clap your hands, he said, and this bird will come to life and dance for you. Take it and enjoy it while it is with you. With these words, the stranger left. It happened just as the stranger had said. The owner had only to clap his hands and the paper crane became a living bird, flew down to the floor, and danced. Soon word of the dancing crane spread, and people came from far and near to see the magic dancing bird perform. The owner was happy again, for his restaurant was always full of guests. He cooked and served and had company from morning until night. The weeks passed, and the months. One evening, a man came into the restaurant. His clothes were old and worn, but he had an unusual, gentle manner. The owner knew him at once and was overjoyed. The stranger, however, said nothing. He took a flute from his pocket, raised it to his lips, and began to play. The crane flew down from its place on the shelf and danced as it never had before. The stranger finished playing, lowered the flute from his lips, and returned it to his pocket. He climbed on the back of the crane and they flew out the door and away. The restaurant still stands by the side of the road, and guests still come to eat good food and hear the story of the gentle stranger and the magic crane made from a paper napkin. But neither the stranger nor the dancing crane has ever been seen again. Alright, so now I want you to think about your own I wonder statements. Were they answered, or are there some things you still wonder about? And also, what did you think about during the second time of reading The Paper Crane that you didn't think about the first time? Go ahead and turn to someone next to you and tell them what you think, or tell me. And what important message do you think the author is trying to tell us from this story? So one thing I think the story is trying to tell us is that when you are nice to people, nice things can happen to you. The restaurant owner served the stranger even though he said he didn't have any money to pay him. He served him like a king. And looking at the man's face, he seems very nice, and he seems happy that the man is treating him so kindly. And as a way to thank him for his kindness, he gave him the magical paper crane. Now, that could just be one message that we think the author could be telling us. You may have a different idea. But the point is, I want you to think about what you think the author is trying to tell you, and why do you think that? What from the story makes you think that? And this week, while you're independent reading, I want you to think about some I wonder statements while you're reading. What are you wondering? And think about later on, maybe when you get to the end of the book, was your question answered? All right. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.